Hi, everybody. It's the show with Ron, and it's time to look at the election and see where we are. So much has happened in the past couple of months, uh, a lot of shocking things, and everything's turned around again. In a way, we have Kamala Harris coming out as, and I know they try to use some subtlety of pronouncing her name as a way to show you hate women or something, but if I mispronounce her name, I give it my best shot. I try to stay I try to stay sort of impartial, or try to look at things impartially on this channel, and so here we are. First, we have to look at the new Democratic nominee, and I always have to bring up some of the cynical things, and one of them is that everybody voted. The government of the United States spent billions of dollars on the primaries, lots of police, lots of law enforcement, security people for these primary elections, and they elected Joe Biden fair and square. And then somebody, people we don't know, people we can't see their face, we don't know who they are, suddenly decided all those votes can be thrown away, and Kamala Harris is appointed the nominee. Now, we have to remember, this is totally all nice and legal. The primary system in the United States is basically run by the party that's in charge. And for instance, during this primary season, the Democrats actually moved the date of the Iowa primary to another date to ensure that there would be no challenger to Biden, because it was kind of decided Biden would be the nominee despite what people might vote for. And this is all the way it works. And in the further past, 100 years ago or so, it was more common for you'd have like a hung convention. You'd have somebody. We go through the primaries and have no one who would clinch the nomination, and then that would be worked out during the convention. So this may be another case where the American public are seeing how the primary convention, the primary system really does work in the country. Because when we watch it on the news, you might CNN or NBC or even Fox, they might say the people vote, the people speak, people heading to the polls to express their opinion. But ultimately, all that can be thrown away if some people we don't even know decide somebody else is the nominee. And that's what happened in this point. And certainly everybody is talking about Kamala Harris and is excited about her. There are lots of articles about the change in from the Democrats, from seeing the election season as being a hard-fought slog. I think that's a direct quote from somebody, one of the major news organs, because I think everybody saw that it was iffy if Biden could make it. And now suddenly people have united behind the vice president as the nominee and given new energy to the race, which was almost really required because, the assassination attempt on Trump, and the probably very successful convention that the Republicans had meant that there was a lot of momentum on the Trump side. So this is almost a perfect timing for Kamala Harris to be appointed the nominee. And I still have to put this in context. For the first 2.5 years of the present Biden administration, the media, the parts of the media that lean left, like New York Times, like Washington Post, they really went after Kamala Harris, saying she was undisciplined, she has a strange speaking style, all of her staff were quitting all the time. So there was a lot of talk very early on about how unsuitable a candidate she was, and that was from the left. I never quite understood why they went so hard on her. It's possible that, in the United States we had this trend, kind of an anti-police, anti-law enforcement trend. After the George Floyd thing, people felt very bad about how they that guy was like killed. The black guy was killed by the white police officer right on camera. And there were other instances like that as well. So Kamala Harris was known during her time as an attorney, as a prosecutor, as one of the super tough prosecutors, put a lot of people in jail. Maybe that was an anathema to some people in the media. Maybe they thought that made her a little bit too right wing. Of course, you'll be surprised now to hear all the people in the Republicans saying she's a hard left candidate. What the truth is that maybe people in these positions of power learn to shift with the tide, shift with the winds to have an acceptable viewpoint for the time and place. I'm not sure that that's completely terrible anyway, because you've got to reflect the viewpoints of the people at the time who you're representing. So we have this situation where everybody is cheering her on as one of the greatest things ever. The Hunt media honeymoon continues, and they're very happy to show that Trump's leads are vanishing. Especially now, we've talked about the only place where one candidate is leading over another at this point, or the only place that matters are in a few swing states. All the other states are already kind of spoken for. They're going to be either the Republicans or the Democrats are going to win. So all the electoral votes are going to go to one side or another. Those are understood to go that way. So we got states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, maybe Ohio. These states are the ones, the toss-up states. So those are the ones we're looking at, and Kamala has tightened up the race. At the same time, where do we have these? I don't know where the article is, but we have to talk about Trump. Now, you know, Trump has a terrible habit of speaking, let's just say in a crazy way, speaking to not like a politician. And I think Trump and the Trump camp, they would be the first people to say that the media wants to seize and misinterpret what he's saying to make it sound as bad as possible. And I think that's probably true. But then Trump and people who support him do speak in a very crazy way that allow these either correct or sometimes incorrect misinterpretations of what he's saying. So we have this situation where he was speaking to some Christian organization, and if you read the whole transcript, it seems maybe like he was saying that you won't have to worry about fixing the problems or voting again because he's going to fix everything in his term, which was, of course, even if you take it for granted that he's not saying he's going to be a dictator, it's crazy braggadocio to say you're going to fix everything in your term. But the statement ends up that Trump's saying that you're not going to have to vote again. And, of course, the media puts this out there saying, well, look, he's saying he's going to be a dictator and all this stuff we say about him are true. So it's crazy intemperate talk by Trump to even say that. Even if he does want to be a dictator, why would you say that? It seems very crazy, but typical of the way he speaks. So on one hand, we have a lot of people cheering on Kamala, the media energizing the Democratic Party. And on the other hand, Trump has slipped a bit because during the convention, he was pretty disciplined in the way he spoke. He let other people in the convention speak up for him. His speech was just to thank people and kind of ruminate on the people who have helped him a little bit. So I was surprised that the Republican convention this time seemed a little more disciplined than in the past. But Trump is back onto his ways again of speaking in a way that allows the media, almost encourages them to use his quotes against him. Now, from the very beginning, when it looked like that Biden was going to be in trouble. Even much earlier this year, Trump has a documents case that was thrown out by the Supreme Court, and Biden had a documents case that was thrown out because the prosecutor said essentially he was not competent to give any testimony. His memory was too bad. So there were hints that Biden was sort of slipping. I feel like myself, when I saw the debate, I thought Biden was about, and people have made fun of me because I said Biden seemed pretty good during the debate. And what I mean by that is he's exactly as I always assumed he was. I saw the videos of him. That's about how he was. A little doddery, maybe a little bit too old. But the Democrats at large were horrified by that. And, I made the video afterwards, called The Emperor's New Clothes, that, the media, I suppose, and the political class in the United States could no longer put forth the idea that, he was fine and sharp as a tack. And, even though he was 81, Trump was 78, and those numbers are not too far apart. So that means Biden's fine. But it does show how many people, even on the Democratic side, were keeping their fingers crossed, maybe hoping they could push Biden across the finish line as their best hope. So last thing I wanted to talk about was also how Kamala's, again, her campaign, how is it going to go forward? And I know it's been brought up how this is markedly different than Hillary Clinton's campaign already as well. And I think it's assumed that maybe the Democrats and certainly the vice president has learned from Hillary Clinton's mistakes. There's none of this trumpeting about a woman. It's a woman's time. It's woman's power. It's feminism. It's breaking the glass ceiling. We heard a lot. Really kind of pre-congratulating the nation, pre-congratulating the U.S. culture for electing the first woman. And it was a lot about a woman. And I think Kamala's campaign, Kamala Harris's campaign, has avoided that pitfall so far. And this is part of the uncertainty that the change in the race is already bringing to the campaign. You can bet everybody on the Republican side was rooting for Joe Biden to stay in the race and crossing their fingers. And as we talked about here, like maybe 4 months ago, you change the equation in an unknown way, even for someone like the vice president, who, as I explained, even the left-wing media just a few years ago was really going in after. They were really attacking her as an unsuitable vice president. So, it was even last fall when Dianne Feinstein died. Everyone was floating that Harris could be appointed the fill-in senator there in California. That would allow her a face-saving way to step down from the vice presidency and have a different person in there. That was coming from the Democratic side. So it shows how quickly things can change. And, I think we have heard Kamala Harris speak, and she's sort of cleaned up the way she speaks, the nervous, weird laugh she used to have. So many videos online that displayed that. But this is another interesting, incredible wrinkle in the campaign. So I would say the things to watch are: is Trump going to go off the rails again? He gained so much from that assassination attempt and the moderate way he was speaking to people around the convention and afterwards. Is he going to allow himself to speak in a way that the media is again going to be able to paint him as a maniac, where it seemed like he was making some inroads into seeming like that he had some reasonable policies? And on the other hand, I still think, despite all this validation and pats on the back and everyone cheering her on and the energy, Kamala Harris still has to prove herself that she's not what the liberal media was telling everybody she was just a few years ago. That she is a very clear speaker, and she can express herself and not seem nervous, not seem too flippant when she speaks. And I think she is kind of showing that. But those are the things to watch going forward in this campaign. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff. Getting some messages coming in. I'm sure there's a lot of exciting stuff that's going to go on that's coming up in the election. So stay tuned, and we'll have more context and commentary about these events so we can see what's going on, and we can see who we might want to support, who we might not want to support. And, this channel is about not getting caught up in somebody else's parade or going down in somebody else's fight. And to do that, we need to have this context. And that's what I've tried to do here. So hardly anybody watches these videos. So please tweet out, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. How do I stop this? Oh, here we are. Bye.